What's going on, you guys? Back again with another video, and back again for the first time with the Raptor build. Super excited to get this thing going. I cannot wait. If you haven't seen the video where we actually go and pick this thing up, I'm going to go ahead and put it up here on the screen and also down in the description box, so make sure you check that out. So, before I even got the Raptor, I'm not going to lie, I started pre-ordering some parts and had some parts already start to trickle in before the Raptor even came. I haven't even had this thing for a week, but I figured, what the hell, let's go ahead and start. Obviously, I think it makes sense that the first thing I do is reinstall my subwoofers and all my amp and all my gear that was in the previous truck. Now, one additional thing we did have to do, or get, I should say, is this PAC Amp Pro 4, the AP4 FD21. From my understanding, all this does is make it plug and play. It plugs in to the radio, to the factory radio, and basically just gives you preamp outputs for RCAs. This one has a front, a rear, and a sub. So this should make the installation of everything a lot easier. For now, I plan on just running one aftermarket monoblock sub amplifier, and then running the factory or the OEM Sony amplifier for all the doors and everything else. It should be okay. I mean, it's going to be a lot more than I had on the Tacoma, obviously. So we'll see how that works, and if for whatever reason in the future I want to add a 4-channel amp, or I just want some more mids and highs, I'll go ahead and tackle that then. Thankfully, PAC also has a wire adapter harness that you plug in right to the OEM location of the amplifier, which is behind the rear seat, and it basically makes it so you don't even have to run new speaker wire to all the doors. So makes it super easy and helpful to have this. So alright, so as you can see, here is my power wire, which, by the way, when I ordered it, I might have ordered it a little too short, so I am waiting for another distribution block so I could put 2 fuses here and then send one out to my monoblock amp, and then if I ever want to eventually, I have that second fuse already here for my 4-channel amp. But this is what it's looking like factory. I did order an amp board that kind of replaces this whole deal and goes here so you can mount all your accessories nicely. Like I said, I do plan on keeping this factory Sony system for now. This is obviously coming out, and this will be mounted to our amp board. So I'm going to try to do as much as I can today. Hopefully we could get some sounds. I don't know if we will, just because I already kind of crimped this onto it. But hopefully that doesn't take very long to arrive, and then we could be bumping this thing. So this is what it looks like factory. This is the subs, if you remember, that were in the Tacoma. So these will just sit right in there. Pretty snug, but it is not hitting the top of the sub. I've already tested it. I've already sat on it. I am probably going to carpet these more than likely. In the Tacoma, you could not see them. That's why I never bothered to, but in here you obviously will. And I do have a plan for this carpet. I'll show you guys that step once I get to it. And that's pretty much it for back here. So let's go ahead and dive into this dash. You can tell this thing has never been removed. These things were on there tight, but don't be scared. It's just all pop-out clips. And then I believe there's 2 little 8mm or 10. It's either an 8 or 7. I think it's a 7. There it is. So it's just 2 small 7mm. Now, you do not need to remove the speaker off of this thing, so don't do that. Once you get these 2 little 7mm removed from up top, you can go ahead and start popping this thing out. And then, from my understanding, you kind of just want to pop out from the front. I'll probably just do this with my hands, or try to get a tool under there. There you go. There you go. Pops right up. Now, like I said, you don't have to remove the speaker, but you do have to unplug it. Then you're going to have 2 more 7mm up on top here. Set those aside as well. And then I believe that's it. Surprisingly, I think that's all that has to come off for all this to just kind of start to pop off. And it's going to sound like you're breaking some stuff, but don't be worried, you're not. Just kind of evenly start to pull on it. There you go. And you gotta remember you do have some wires to disconnect. So, alright, so now that you get them all off, you kind of just set this aside. And then it looks like you have 6 more 7mm screws. Let me verify. Yep. And then I'm not sure if I have to take this one off, but I'm pretty sure I do to pull it out. So there's another 4 on this one. So we'll go ahead and start taking these out. Alright, so I've removed all screws. I went ahead and looked over the instructions real quick just to see exactly where this needs to plug into. And yes, you do have to remove the LCD screen and the bottom CD player / radio. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that if I can figure out Ford's freaking clips. And push and pull. Alright, so there's the LCD screen. Go ahead and just set this aside. Alright, so now we have everything off. Set that aside as well. This is the actual module. The T-harness is back here. You do have part of the T-harness that's going to hook up to the radio side, and the other part that's going to hook up to the LCD side, the screen. And then obviously the opposite side of this harness is going to go to the truck's connections. Now you do get a remote start wire out of this, so I'm going to go ahead and butt connect my own remote wire to this. And here is the actual panel, or the actual module itself. The module itself, you're really just going to need one plug. You do have an option here for a toss link that you can add onto it and remove. That has to be bought separately, which I am not going to use. And then here is your RCAs. Front right, front left, rear right, rear left, and then your subs. One really cool thing that I actually am going to give a shot. I usually use just the bass knob that comes with the amps, but I'm going to try this out for this one. And it's a bass knob for your sub channel. So this is going to give me the option to just keep the bass knob from running straight from this RCA module and straight into a little location that I'm going to do over here. Now, part of the reason why I really actually like this bass knob is because it's kind of like a long stem, and it gives you 2 nuts and washers on each side, so you can kind of custom mount it and make your own little hole, so where all you have is just this knob showing, which that actually sounds like it's gonna look and be pretty freaking cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that and install it here, but on the opposite side. So where you see this push button start, it's gonna be over here on this side, and I'll show you guys that when we get there. For now, let's go ahead and start seeing kind of where we're gonna mount this in here. Obviously I want it to look nice and clean and you know, tucked away. And then we'll plug in all the wire harnesses, and I'm gonna go get my remote wire that I'm gonna butt connect to here. Alright, you guys, so I kind of just continue to work ahead and just kind of got that done. So as you can see, there is my bass knob, nice and flush. It's sticking up a little bit, but it's perfectly fine because it gives me plenty of free spin and movement in it. But there you go. I think that's a pretty cool little spot there, out of the way, and not directly behind the steering wheel. That's why I kind of went this way with it a little bit, just to give myself some room away from the steering wheel. And if I ever wanted to add another knob or whatever the case may be here, I have plenty of room. So I think that is perfect. Now just to tuck away these wires, we'll continue to connect the harness and get this in place. Now for the module itself, where did I put it? For the module itself, all I went ahead and did is got like this 3M double-sided Velcro with the sticky tape, which this stuff is really strong, so I'm sure it'll hold just fine. But my plan is to just go ahead and put it here, have the RCAs coming out the top and towards the passenger side, since I did run my power wire on the driver's side. And for you guys that know or don't know, you never want to run your power wire and your signal wires on the same side, just to avoid any distortion or any unwanted sounds in your sound system. So we'll go ahead and keep going now with hooking up the harness. It's in there, and then the opposite side of this is gonna go now to the radio. I know it looks like a big mess here, you guys, but we can sort this out. And then this now is gonna go straight to our module, like that. And then on the module, on the pack module, you also want to connect now your remote for your subs. So that's gonna also go in here. like so, and that should be pretty much it. So now we're ready to hook up our RCAs to this. I am gonna go ahead and wire manage this a little better, kind of zip tie all this together, bundle it up, and then tuck it away towards the back, and then this is just gonna be mounted here. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on that, a little bit of wire management, and then also I'm gonna feed my RCAs and my remote towards my passenger side, like I said, so get all this mess out the way. So I just wanted to show you guys real quick. I went ahead and double-sided stuck that module, and as you can see, there's plenty of room between the actual LCD screen and the module. So that's a perfect place for it right there. And like I said, that 3M Velcro industrial double-sided tape is gonna work perfectly. I mean, that thing is already on there and it just barely got put there. So we're good there, we're golden. I'm gonna continue with some of this wire management. As you can see, I dropped the glove box and now I'm just starting to run the wires over to the passenger side. And here they are. So now I got my power wire tucked away over there. I got my RCAs and then my remote wire. And then when I get the mounting board, when I'm finally gonna mount the amp and put it in place, is where I'll figure out the ground for that. I also have a ground distribution block coming that I'll be using on the amp rack that I have coming as well, so I'm waiting for that. Alright you guys, so it's been a couple days. I've been actually waiting for my amp ramp to show up. I'm sorry, my amp rack to show up. So before I even got the truck, it's from a company called Sounds Good Stereo. They actually have an awesome YouTube channel where they show a lot of builds on different cars as far as car audio. One of them specifically, or a couple being specifically on the Ford Raptor. So that they gave me a lot of ideas of how I wanted to go about it with my own personal build. So that is officially in. The subs are officially working. Everything is playing. Everything sounds great. But as of right now, as you can see, I kind of have just my amp sitting there, all these wires. It all looks pretty messy. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do now is the amp rack actually sits here and replaces this little OEM stand. So what I need to do is I need to take this all off, place my amp rack in place, and kind of start getting an idea of how I'm gonna lay everything out. Alright you guys, as you can see, this is the amp rack here, and it's pretty good thickness actually, and it's actually really nice, cut perfectly. I already sat it in place in the truck just to kind of get an idea how it would look. They do supply you all the hardware you need. It's just these two little metal brackets that sit on the OEM subwoofer mounting location, and then you use the third bolt, the third bolt from an OEM mounting location as well. And as you can see, this is the factory Sony amp. So in the truck it sits something like that, and as you can see, the holes line up to the mounting point, the original mounting point for the amp, this amp rack. So all I'm gonna go ahead and do now is go ahead and take this amp off of this bracket, kind of set it in place, and figure out where I can sit this amp on our new board so I can have access to these three plugs pretty easily. Alright you guys, just a quick little update. As you can see, I drilled some holes to zip tie my power wire going to my distribution block, and zip tie my ground wire going to my ground distribution block. Besides that, drilled out some holes for the power wire to come in behind the board and connect. Some holes for your RCAs, some holes for the speaker wires, and the hole for the little remote coming through the back. That's pretty much it. As you can see, there's plenty of room on this board. Kind of bummed I'm not already replacing my 4-channel, but it's okay. Like I said earlier, we have plenty of room to adjust everything if need to. That's pretty much it. I may end up connecting, once I connect these, I might end up making some holes for some zip ties like I did here, kind of just to keep that stock wiring nice and tight and clean. This is what the back is kind of looking like. So that's pretty much it, and that's how it's gonna sit in the truck. I haven't added my little covers yet because I want to make sure I get everything connected first and set in place before I do so. I did think about putting some LED lights like down at the bottom maybe, but you're never gonna see them. It's always gonna be tucked away and hidden, so I'm gonna go ahead and skip that step for now. But let's go ahead and mock this up, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like. Alright you guys, so that is a wrap. Everything is in, everything is connected, everything is playing, everything is sounding fucking awesome. Now I must say, obviously the Sony OEM speakers are still in there, the mids and highs, but even with that, just that added bass, it sounds great. Really the only thing that I would be going after now by replacing those is better quality sound, obviously, better quality speakers, 4-channel amp, obviously making the volume way louder. But for now, this is plenty. It sounds great. I'll give you guys just a quick overview of everything that we did. So you got your sky-high wire. By the way, I use sky-high wiring for the whole truck pretty much. 4 gauge, which I think is plenty for what I'm running right now. So we got 4 gauge to an SMD fuse block here, which I did mount on top of this fuse box lid. I did go up underneath and I did seal off the 2 holes that I made to mount it, just to make sure that no water or anything gets to our fuses underneath. So that has there, running in through a little rubber grommet up here, obviously into the cabin. I got my bass knob custom mounted there and drilled into place. The bass knob is coming from my PAC module that's behind the radio that you guys saw me install. That PAC module is basically teeing off of the OEM plugs and giving you an RCA and a remote wire, which I have running down the other side of the truck. We have our 2 kicker 10s. Now, if you guys don't remember, I did mention that this box was actually custom built for the Toyota Tacoma. I replaced these mats to kind of make them sit perfect in place. So these actually worked out really, really good. The only thing I kind of don't like is obviously these are sticking out, the terminals, the jump over terminals. I do want to eventually move those and put them on the side, and then at the same time go ahead and either paint this box or either stain it or just do it simple and wrap it in carpet. For now, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it just so I don't have to really mess with it. So your 2 kicker LT710s, and then last but not least, Sounds Good Stereo Shop amp rack made specifically for the 2nd gen Raptor. As you can see, everything is sitting flawless. The OEM amp, all I went ahead and did is, normally this amp sits vertically, I mounted it horizontally, and as you can see, the wires were able to kind of twist and plug into place. This is probably the ugliest part about it, just the OEM harness here, but it's kind of out of the way, so no big deal there. So our power wire coming into another SMD dual fuse distribution block. For now, I'm just using one. Power wire, ground wire, SMD distribution block over there as well for the grounds. And that's pretty much it. As you can see, all the wires are coming in nicely. But yeah, that's pretty much it, you guys. This thing looks freaking awesome. It's clean as hell. Everything kind of just mounts right back into place. And that is pretty much it. Now, obviously, I'm not going to show you guys or let you guys, get to listen to it. Unfortunately, copyright music and all that. And not to mention, over the camera, it's not going to sound good. But please believe me, these things sound freaking sweet. That's all I got for this video, you guys. Like, share, and subscribe. Let me know if you got any questions or comments down below. Peace.